I am Julie Howard, a Forester 2 with CAL FIRE.
My name's Chris Dow. I work for SPI. I'm the Area Vegetation Management Specialist.
I'm Lauren Fetty. I work for the Conservation Fund, and I am a forester and project manager.
My name is David Haas. I work for CAL FIRE in the San Bernardino unit. I am a registered professional forester.
I first went to Shasta College as a junior college attendee. Didn't know what I wanted to do by any means. I was playing baseball and wanted to figure it out, and they forced you to actually pick a major as a sports player. And I closed my eyes, put my finger down, it landed on forestry. I should have listened to my finger because about 6 to 7 major changes later, I ended up actually figuring out I wanted to be involved in environmental science and really get active into the field work and everything else with that. And so that was kind of the start to it.
I took a non-traditional route into forestry. I got a Bachelor of Arts in Biology, actually. For me, I was able to take that the sort of biology experience that I was interested in and bring it into a larger landscape. And so I first worked actually for the Bureau of Land Management doing plant technician and rare plant conservation and all this cool stuff. Did that for quite a few years. And then I went back to school and got my master's in forestry and my master's of environmental management. And then I got to work under an RPF and really round out my experience and education requirements.
So when I went to college, I was actually a business major, and I did it for 2 years, and I was not very fond of it. So I looked through the course catalog at the university I was at and saw forestry and natural resources and thought it was interesting. So I had a meeting with the department head and thought it would be a 20-minute meeting, and an hour later I'm signing papers to become a forestry major. So that's why, and I never looked back.
We were in 10-year-old high severity fires. We were up and down the state doing fuels transects and everything else. And so it still met, but it wasn't that traditional route of 2 years of work doing true civiculture and true forestry for the Forest Service. It was doing research forestry.
To get the qualifications to sit for the exam, for the RPF exam, I worked under a forester, and in doing that I did inventory work. I actually did a little bit more of that botanical work that I had experience with before. I did a lot of mapping, flagging water courses, everyone does that, all that good stuff. And I was also working a lot on getting my growth and yield modeling experience up to snuff at that same time. So it's a very wide array of experiences that I worked on under an RPF to be able to be qualified to sit for the exam.
I'm currently working in the Forest Health Grant Program, so I administer grant and work all across the whole state with different organizations.
I'm our lead for our California Cap and Tree projects, so I do a lot of modeling, I do a lot of report writing, but I'm still get out in the woods and do inventory, check crews are foresters and contractors.
So I have 3 districts for planning, implementation, maintenance, as well as the cooperative portion of field breaks, which involves fire safe councils, working with Forest Service a lot, and I drive a lot, which it's a lot of commuting and everything else, but I get to do exactly what my degree actually said on it when I finished.
I enjoy helping the people of the state of California, helping them understand proper forest management and how we can better protect our forest and natural resources.
What I love the most about just forestry in general is that you get to work on this huge and very dynamic landscape. And forestry is a great tool because you're able to bring in all the different pieces. You're able to work with loggers, with stream restoration, the climate side of things, both climate resiliency and climate storage and mitigation with growing bigger trees. So you're really able to think about a holistic ecosystem, including the people, which is really great. And I like having that tool set. I mean, a licensed forester means I get to work in all of that.
One of the most rewarding parts of being a forester is that sometimes you are given basically a blank canvas and you're able to manipulate and shape how you would want the landscape to react and grow, and it's a long-term reward though. As people know, trees don't grow very fast, so it's a long-term reward.
It's never the same thing every single day, 5 straight days, it really kind of provides that variety in my life that I absolutely love for keeping me very, I guess, engaged in the job and having that variability. And it's a huge perk for me that I get to take my dogs every day.
Think about who you're working for and what kind of opportunities are in that job, because you do have to have this requirement to work under an RPF, and that's written in law, so it's hard to get around. But it can be spread throughout your career. You know, you don't have to do it all at once. And so just keeping track of that experience that you have done, and obviously the contact information of those folks you've worked under. But I also sort of want to flip that question on its head and say anyone who's thinking about working in forestry in California should think about pursuing the track to be an RPF, because it's the toolbox for working in forests in California, because we do have, you know, a structure that requires RPFs to be really involved in the planning process and the implementation. Everything from watershed restoration all the way down to prescribed fire. Like, you need to have an RPF involved.